Welcome back if you joined us earlier today. If you're new to today, you will be amazed by the next presentation on finding a living donor. We hope that you had the opportunity to join our physicians in the breakout room and got your questions answered. Thank you again to our sponsors. The University of Maryland Medical Center and Transplant Center is our presenting sponsor for today's program. Additionally, our mission sponsor is Veloxis Pharmaceuticals. Without the support of these two great organizations, we would not be able to offer you the Big Ask, Big Give today. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Body. Dr. Body is the Interim Division Chief of Transplant Surgery, Professor of Surgery, Surgical Director for Liver Transplant and HB Surgery. Dr. Body is a multi-organ transplant surgeon and professor of surgery at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Also, he is the surgical director of the liver transplant and HB surgery at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Along with his expertise in liver transplant, living donor liver transplantation, HB surgery, and renal transplantation, he is one of few surgeons who performs transplant and liver cancer-related surgeries robotically. Dr. Body has been funded by Center for Clinical and Translational Research and is actively involved in improving access to transplantation in obese end-stage liver and kidney disease patients. The kidney donor and kidney transplantation surgeries he performed using the robotic approach demonstrated significant advantages for obese patients. He also explores the newly emerging field of transplant oncology. Dr. Body is the program director for the ASTS Accredited Transplant Surgery Fellowship at University of Maryland School of Medicine and presents regularly at national and international meetings. He also currently teaches faculty in the ASTS Minimally Invasive Donor course. Dr. Body is a principal investigator of multiple clinical trials and an investigator in various funded grants. He has published over 50 manuscripts and multiple book chapters. Welcome, Dr. Body.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Chandra Bhatti. I'm a professor of surgery and a division chief in a division of transplantation at University of Maryland. I recently performed first robotic-assisted living donor kidney transplantation in the state of Maryland, as well as University of Maryland. Robotic-assisted transplant surgery can be very useful in patients who have a high BMI, as well as the patients who have a complicated transplant. This surgery has a significant advantage over traditional open cut surgery. In open cut surgery, we make about 10 to 15 centimeter or sometimes even 25 centimeter long scar. With robotic surgery, we make only about 5 to 6 centimeter long scar with about 4 to 5 keyholes. This surgery has a significant advantages for patients, including faster healing, less scarring, less pain, quick return back to work, and this patients feel much better quicker and walk on the same day. I'm looking forward to be connecting with you, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any time. Once again, thank you for joining our Big Ask, Big Give event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Body. And now we're going to move on to the presentation today for finding a living donor. I am honored to introduce Dr. Silke Niederhaus, Associate Professor of Surgery. Silke is the Associate Dean for the Faculty Affairs and Professional Development at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and a Clinical Associate Professor of Surgery. She received her medical degree from the University of Alabama School of Medicine and completed her surgical residency and a 2-year research fellowship at the University of Wisconsin. Following residency, Silke completed a 2-year transplant surgery fellowship in abdominal transplantation, also at the University of Wisconsin. Silky specializes in kidney and pancreas transplantation and dialysis access. She has published a number of papers and abstracts, many centering on organ transplants, organ donors, and recipient. Silky is a kidney transplant recipient herself. Her first kidney transplant lasted for over 30 years. She needed a second kidney transplant in 2019, for which she was able to find a living donor through a paired kidney exchange. Her experiences as a transplant recipient allow Silky to bring a unique perspective to transplantation. And again, it is with my honor that I introduce Dr. Silky Niederhaus. Silky, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Silky Niederhaus. I'm one of the transplant surgeons at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and I'm also a 2 times kidney transplant recipient. Welcome to our Big Ask, Big Give. I think this afternoon we're here because there's a long need for kidneys and the waiting list for transplants is long. You probably already know that there are 2 treatments for kidney failure, dialysis or transplant. Kidney transplant generally offers more freedom and a better quality of life than dialysis. In general, living kidney donation is the best option for patients who have kidney failure. But kidney patients, family members, and friends don't often know enough about living donation. Even when you do, you may be shy about asking someone to consider being a living donor. You may not know who to ask, and you may not even need to ask. Sometimes just by sharing your story, there's a good chance that a living donor will come forward. You may not be able to imagine how to start that conversation, but there are a lot of resources that can help, and that's one of the reasons we're here right now. These strategies can be used by kidney patients, but also their family members and friends, and all of them can help to spread the word about the need for kidney transplants. Today, family and friends will learn how to be an effective advocate for a kidney patient. Patients may not be comfortable using all strategies by themselves, but often family and friends are happy to help spread the word. This also allows the patient or you to focus on your health. If you're a family member or a friend, be sure to ask the patient's permission to use these strategies here. Please don't share their story or personal information in a way that they wouldn't like it shared. A little about this program. The National Kidney Foundation developed this program in partnership with different transplant centers, kidney patients, health professionals, and other living donors. We've been delivering these programs now for 3 years across the country, and the ideas we share today are all ideas that patients and families have said at some point have worked for them. This program here today can help you find a kidney donor. Here's Jeff, who's a kidney transplant recipient, and he wanted to say thank you to the National Kidney Foundation for the education, preparation, and support in aiding him to communicate his story and to find a living donor. He's forever grateful for the insight and the tools that were provided. Today, we're going to talk about 7 key strategies that may help find a living donor. We'll start with busting some myths about kidney donation through some interactive poll questions. And then we'll share some facts about kidney donation so you can feel prepared to have a conversation with someone when they ask. Then we're going to talk in depth about all the different tools and resources you can use to find a living donor. The key to finding a donor is to share your story. Let people know about the person who needs the kidney and how a transplant will help them. If you're not comfortable or ready to write your own story, another idea is to have a friend or family member write down their story from their perspective. So today we're going to teach you how to create your story, how to spread the word, and how to build a network of advocates to help you. You don't have to do this alone, but you can find other family members or friends to help you with all of these strategies. We'll hear from living donors and transplant recipients about their experiences, and you'll have a chance to ask them questions. Then we'll close the day by talking about ways to start a conversation with someone about the possibility of them donating a kidney to you. And you'll each finalize your own personalized action plan of the next steps that you can take. We'll walk through everything you need to know so you leave today with really specific tools and plans that will work for you. We're here to help you at every step of the way. Who's ready to get started? Write in the chat which strategy you're most excited to learn about. It's important for you to understand what living donation is all about, but it's equally important that everyone you share your story with has all of the facts on living donation so that they can make the informed decision to donate to you. We're going to quiz you and see how well you can pick out myths, which is something that's untrue, and then we'll review the facts so that hopefully you'll feel more prepared to share with them. Most of you are here today because you or someone you know and love needs a kidney transplant. You probably already know a little bit about living donation and transplant, but we'll start with some quick reminders. These facts may be helpful to know about when talking to others about your need for a kidney. There are two treatments for kidney failure: dialysis and transplant. Kidney transplant generally offers more freedom and a better quality of life than dialysis. For many people, transplant is the preferred option. A transplant can come from a living donor or a deceased donor. So let's start with a few true or false questions to see what you already know. First question, do you think these are true or false? Kidneys from living donors typically last longer than kidneys from deceased donors. Is that true or false? And question number two, you can get a kidney transplant before you have to start dialysis. Do you think that's true or false? Most of you know that while both types of transplants are good, there are some additional benefits from a living donor. Transplants offer better health outcomes than dialysis, and living donation kidneys often work better. Some negative effects from dialysis usually improve right after transplant. Kidneys from living donors typically work better and last longer than kidneys from deceased donors. A kidney from a deceased donor lasts an average of 7 to 10 years, and a kidney from a living donor lasts an average of 15 to 20 years. Another advantage is that you don't need to wait for a deceased donor, which many of you know. If you're lucky enough to start the transplant evaluation process early, it's possible to get a kidney transplant from a living donor before you even ever have to start dialysis. This is called preemptive transplant and is the best way to go for your health. Another benefit for living donation is that it helps others on the waiting list. If someone can get a transplant from a living donor, that takes one person off the waiting list, which shortens the list and the wait time for others. We all know that the transplant waiting list is long, so more living donors is one way that you can help others to reduce that. If you get a living donor kidney, it will start working almost immediately, almost always. Whereas sometimes a deceased donor kidney may take a while to start working. That can be days or weeks or months. Some recipients from the deceased donor kidneys need to get dialysis for 2 weeks or more before the kidney begins to work properly. All right, let's see if you can identify whether a few more things are true or false. These statements are about the donation surgery, the surgery for the person who is donating the kidney to someone in need of a transplant. So for the living donor. Is this true or false? A kidney donor is usually in pain for about 3 to 4 months after surgery. And number two, true or false? A kidney donor will usually be in the hospital for 1 or 2 nights after surgery. So today, most living donors undergo laparoscopic surgery or robotic surgery, which means tiny incisions will be made, and typically that allows for a faster recovery and a lot less pain. The usual hospital stay for the donor is about 1 or maybe 2 nights. The full recovery takes about 4 to 6 weeks. A kidney donor will have some discomfort after surgery from the incisions or from gas and bloating. This will decrease in the next days after surgery and often can be controlled with Tylenol and sometimes other pain medicine if it's needed. Pain medicines are usually only needed for about 1 to 2 weeks after donating a kidney, and some people need it for even a shorter time than that. Many transplant centers are now using blocks, which are administered to help decrease the discomfort during recovery and minimize the use of pain medicine. And that block is basically an injection of numbing medicine right where the incision is. There are some risks to living donation, which you need to know, including problems related to surgery, like bleeding or infection. Some people develop a hernia, especially if people lift things heavy enough after donation surgery. Some people could be at risk for blood clots during surgery. Some people have a longer recovery time than expected. There's a slightly higher risk of developing high blood pressure in the very, very long term. So for donors, it's important to be committed to taking care of your health after you donate. And there's a minimal risk of kidney failure after donation, which is less than 1% of people who donate. It's actually quite a bit less than 1%. All right, a few more true or false statements. These are ones about long-term effects of donation on the donor. Is it true or false? Kidney donors have to take medicine for the rest of their lives. Note that these questions are about the donor, the person who is giving a kidney to someone with kidney disease. A kidney donor will have to change their diet after donation. True or false? A kidney donor can no longer play sports or exercise after they've donated. True or false? A female kidney donor or a woman who donates a kidney can get pregnant after donation. True or false? Go ahead and share your answers. And we'll move on. All right, most of you know that kidney donors do not have to take any special medicines after donation. As we said earlier, the kidney donor will only need pain medicine and stool softeners for a short time after surgery. After that, a donor doesn't usually need to take any medicine unless they were on things before they donated. There are no restrictions for diet after donation. A kidney donor can eat anything, but like everyone, they should follow a healthy, well-balanced diet. A kidney donor should be able to return to regular activities, including sports and exercise, at about 4 to 6 weeks after surgery. A kidney donor can drink alcohol in moderation. That said, drinking too much alcohol is dangerous for everyone, and there's a greater risk for dehydration with just one kidney. A female kidney donor can get pregnant after donation. Although the donor should wait about 3 to 6 months after donating before they become pregnant, the body needs time to recover from surgery and to adjust living with just one kidney before pregnancy. As you can see, living kidney donors go on to live normal, healthy lives. The quality of life for a kidney donor is typically equal to that of the average adult. According to a national survey, 1 out of 4 Americans would donate a kidney if they knew someone who needed it. And life with one kidney is virtually the same as life for people with 2 kidneys. If a donor develops kidney failure, he or she immediately gets extra points on the waiting list to shorten the wait time for them in waiting for a kidney if they were to need one down the road. The evaluation for donating a kidney includes a complete physical exam with some of the most advanced types of testing. After people donate a kidney, follow-up care is provided. A living donor's medical expenses related to the donation are paid by the recipient's insurance, including Medicare. All right, are you ready for some more true or false questions? This is our last set of these. All of these, again, are about the living donor, so the person who is giving away one of their 2 healthy kidneys. True or false? A kidney donor cannot be older than 60 years. True or false? A kidney donor must be about the same age as the recipient. And true or false? A kidney donor doesn't need to be the same blood type as the recipient. go ahead and reply to these questions. And we'll move on. As most of you noted, living kidney donors do not have to be young people. A healthy person over the age of 60 can be a living donor and have no problems from surgery. The kidney from a donor older than 60 can work very well and for many, many years. In most cases, the donor does have to be at least 18 years old. But each transplant center has different age requirements. The evaluation will determine if a donor candidate is healthy enough to donate a kidney. You also noted that donors and recipients do not need to be the same age. Research has shown that transplants can work well when there's an age difference between donors and recipients, especially true for living donors. And you may not have known this, but a donor's blood type does not always need to be the same as the recipient's blood type for the transplant to work well. For example, a person with type A blood can donate to a person with type AB blood. Anyone who's interested to be a donor should contact the living donor team. That allows the transplant team to decide if that donor is eligible or not. Next, we're going to talk about paired exchange, or as some of you may understand it, paired kidney exchange, or others may refer to this as the swap or swapping a kidney. In some cases, a donor and a recipient don't have to be a match, including by blood type, to their intended recipient to donate. So if for one reason or another, be it blood type, be it antibodies, be it you're uncomfortable donating to someone much older, we can change these parameters through a paired exchange. So a donor does not need to be a match to donate. If the living donor is a poor match for their chosen recipient, they can change kidneys with another donor-recipient pair to make a match better. So for example, say that you want to donate to your daughter, but you're not a match, and that's donor 1 and recipient 1. And someone else wants to donate to their best friend, but they're not a match. That's donor 2 and recipient 2. In that way, you can swap kidneys so that both people receive a transplant. You all did a pretty good job in busting the myths, and hopefully by now you feel a little bit more comfortable about knowing some of the facts. So we've just learned the first 2 of 7 strategies: busting myths and knowing the facts. By now, you're experts. Next, we'll move on to creating your own story. In order to find a living donor, you first have to tell people that you need a kidney. You might be wondering, how do you spread the word? How will that help you in finding a living donor? The first step is to figure out what you'll say. We'll call that your kidney story. The first step is to create your story. In this section, we're going to talk about strategy 3 to create your own story so you can spread the word. Tony Sacco received a diagnosis of kidney disease with deteriorating kidney function in the early 1990s. With the help of his nephrologist, Tony managed the disease for many years. However, after about 20 years of management, the conversation changed. Tony needed to begin dialysis or find a new kidney. A member of Tony's family began the process of becoming a living donor, but didn't qualify. It was after finding out that this one family member could not donate their kidney that Tony and his wife attended the University of Maryland Medical Center's Big Ask, Big Give seminar, given in partnership with the National Kidney Foundation serving Maryland and Delaware. Tony basically then said that this workshop really inspired me. It gave me hope that there was another way. Let's talk a little longer about Tony's story. Please type in the chat box what you think about the following. What was included in the messages? What key points or other information was included? What do you think made the messages work? So one key point in your story is to include an ask. What do you want people to do? Consider donating a kidney, researching more about kidney donation, or other ways that they can help. Another important part of your message is including some details about yourself. Why do you want a kidney transplant? What do you hope to do when you have a new kidney? What do you miss doing because you have kidney disease or because you're on dialysis? Another good tip is to include information about contacting your transplant center. People may be more comfortable reaching out to a hospital to ask about being evaluated as a donor than they are reaching out to you, especially if they're not sure if they want to be a donor and they may just want some more information. This communication can then be kept confidential between the potential donor and the living donor transplant team, and you as the recipient don't even have to be involved. And I see you're all busily typing examples and comments on what's important in the story in the chat box. So thank you for that. All right. The key to finding a donor is sharing your story. We've created a worksheet to help you write your specific story. We've also provided several story examples in your packets. You can use these for inspiration as you write your own. And we have a link in the chat box to the worksheet. So you can go to that link in the chat box and then click on that link, and you can follow that link to your own personal worksheet. A few reminders. If you are a kidney patient, you would write this story about yourself. If you're a family member or a friend, you'll write about the kidney patient. You can also write how about their kidney disease affects you. You can start with your worksheet by just jotting down ideas and thoughts. There are no right answers. No one will see this worksheet but you, so it's a good time to be honest. You can always make changes and decide what to share later on. Don't think too much about it. Just write whatever comes to mind. Today or sometime in the next few days, you can still take a few minutes to start filling out this worksheet or to refine it. Once you've finished creating your story, it's now time to spread the word. There are a lot of ways that you can use your story to let people know that you or a loved one needs a kidney. And next, we're going to talk about how to share your story. The key to finding a donor is really to share your story. You have to let people know that you or someone you love needs a kidney. You can start by reaching out to people you know well even, and then gradually reach out to a broader group of people. Most people end up donating to someone that they know. So start by targeting friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, acquaintances, or members of your community. Spread the word to those who don't already know that you or someone you love needs a kidney. This can result in living donors just deciding to step forward without you ever asking. Large media campaigns like billboards or TV shows are not as successful and can take up valuable time and resources. Many people want to remain private, and they don't want to let people know that they or their loved one are sick. But if people don't know, they can't help you. So you have to let them know. This is a huge barrier for a lot of people to find a living donor. If people don't know, they're not going to be able to help you. You don't have to tell everyone, but the more you share, the easier it becomes to find a living donor. What about you? Do any of you struggle with this? Are you hesitant? Is it difficult for you to let people know that you're sick or that your family member or friend is sick? How many of you have told other people that you have kidney disease? How many people have you told? And I'll let you type that into your chat. Thanks for sharing. Those are some good, honest answers. For those of you who've shared, how does it feel to share your story? What was hard when you shared that you had kidney disease? Feel free to share your experiences too. Many people want to remain private and not let people know that they or their loved one are sick or even ask for a kidney because they may fear that it'll make others uncomfortable. But if people don't know, they can't help you. Some common concerns that you may have about talking to people about donating a kidney are, first, do I have the right to ask others to donate? You're an advocate and you have the knowledge to share. You or your loved one needs the help. You don't have to ask others to be a kidney donor. You can simply start by letting them know that so-and-so has kidney disease and needs a kidney transplant. And if they ask questions, you can send them to the NKF or to our website to learn more about donation. And what if you make people uncomfortable? Sometimes it happens. Don't worry about asking them to be the donor. Just tell them the story, share the need for a kidney transplant, and ask them to help you spread the word. Most people will be happy to do that. So this is Gisela. She was a participant in one of our older Big Ask, Big Give programs. And she shared what she learned from her experience. So her number one lesson is that it's not your job to make others comfortable when you're suffering and uncomfortable yourself. That's extra energy that you don't have to spare. So let's talk about sharing your story. We've talked with many kidney patients and family members, and here are some ideas that they've shared. You can talk to family or friends when you get together, on calls, at virtual social events, at reunions. You can send an email or a letter to people you know. You can make a post on social media, right? Everyone's on social media these days. You can host a virtual social gathering to talk about the need and ask people to help spread the word. Even if they can't donate themselves, they can still help by telling others. And as we're starting to get back together in person, you can have an in-person gathering, a kidney dinner. Maybe you don't want to serve kidney for dinner, but you can talk about kidneys and donation. You can speak at a virtual community group, right? And these may be hosted through different groups that you're already a part of. And you can approach these groups and the community leaders ahead of time. And whenever you can, make sure to include a photo or even a video. Make your story personal, make it about you, and include some facts that you learned today about donation. So what about you? Have you seen any good examples? Any people that have shared their story in a nice way? What ideas do you have to add? Go ahead and share those ideas in the chat so that we all can learn from each other. And I see them popping up. Good job. Let's play a video from another real-life example of how to share your story. This is Alan, a kidney patient, who found a living donor through sharing his story on social media.
I was diagnosed first with kidney disease in 2003. My health started declining, and it got to the point where my kidney function came down to 9%.
Alan received a notice from his nephrologist, hey, you're going to want to start looking at a transplant.
It was definitely a shock because I had just gotten married a couple of years ago, and my wife and I had so many plans.
Sometimes, taking a trip somewhere or going out somewhere, he would get very tired. He would fall asleep, and it would frustrate the heck out of me. I wasn't sure, are we gonna make it? Can I deal with this?
My journey with kidney disease really came full circle when I started working on the Big Ask, Big Give website here at the National Kidney Foundation. It's just a surreal moment that it hits me that the information on this website and working here and everything I've learned over the years is really what's going to get me through this. I'm a very private person, and for me, my issue is that whatever happens in my life is my own burden, and it's not something I want to put on someone else. I had to get past that issue, and it was my wife who helped me get past it. She said, your kidneys aren't getting any healthier. Nobody in my family was able to give me a kidney, so it's time that you reach out to other people. The idea behind the Big Ask, Big Give was to actually put a post up on social media. We kind of worked with the template that was in the Big Ask, Big Give website.
The scariest moment, are we gonna find a donor? Am I not going to have my husband around for much longer? The emojis and the comments were just starting to pour in. People were willing to immediately share our post and spread the word and get it out there.
My post ended up going viral, and it wasn't a direct connection that ended up being my perfect match. It was someone sharing the post and someone seeing the post on their Facebook page.
I was just scrolling along, as you do, and it really popped out at me. There was a voice in my head almost that said, this is something that you can do. This is someone who you could help. And it was easy. All I had to do was click on a link that was in there and fill out a quick questionnaire.
The day I came home and he told me that we had a match and we have our donor, I was speechless for like a good 30 to 45 minutes, and that's a lot for me.
I still can't fathom it, that there's someone out there who saw my post and was generous enough to give me a kidney transplant.
And it was all so quick. Before I know it, the anesthesiologist was trying to distract me while they put the IV in, and the next thing I knew, I woke up in recovery. My thoughts after that just went to him. I hope everything's going okay. Was the kidney okay?
It's been 4 months now since the transplant. This is probably the best I've felt in the last 5 to 8 years, I think.
He woke up and it was a whole new day for him. The first day of his whole new life.
The Big Ask, it's scary. It's asking a patient to understand that it's okay to ask for help.
It's a big give, but it's also a big payback, and that's Alan in my life.
He's absolutely worth it. And there is no one else that I can imagine being on this life journey with than Alan Stephen Commuto. And I am so proud that I have the opportunity to be his wife and the opportunity to go through this journey with him and to support him. We went through the ups and the downs because we had to get to this point. And if that means sharing our journey with other people to make it that much easier for them, happy to pay it forward.
Great. So let's talk about this now. Which strategies that you learned about do you think you can use? What can you ask others to try? What do you want to try? Maybe you're not good with a computer, but you have a 22-year-old nephew who's a computer whiz. You could ask him to make some posts on a computer for you, to create a web page, a site. Next, we're going to talk about strategy number 5, building a network of advocates, or you can also think of these people as champions. It's important to remember that you don't have to do this alone. You're the kidney patient right here in the middle. Maybe you're a close family or friend coming here today with your kidney patient. But now think of all the connections and relationships that you, your friends, and your loved ones have. Where would you feel comfortable sharing your story? In your packet, we've included this slide as a handout, and we'll call it your circles of influence. These are all people that you might know in one way or another, you might be connected to, and some of them may be able to help you. They could consider being a kidney donor, or maybe they could help you implement some of these strategies to spread the word. Think about who can help you. All of these ideas may not apply to you, but hopefully some of them do. Do you work? Where? Does your employer have a newsletter or a bulletin board? Do you have coworkers that you feel close to that may be interested in helping you find a living donor? You could share your story with them. Do you volunteer somewhere? If you can find community groups that you belong to who have a newsletter or a bulletin, you can post it there. Even if you're not close or you don't have a relation to a person in the community, maybe your friends or family can share the story for you if they're well connected in that place.
I was a normal, healthy kid, and when I was 8 years old, in the summer, I got a strep throat infection. At first, we didn't think anything of it, and then they found out that my kidneys were slowly going bad. Eventually, I had to start dialysis. I was 11 years old, and I got transplanted 2 days before Christmas in 1988. So it was a baby kidney from a 9-month-old baby boy. Single kidney, quite a risky operation because that kidney was, 9 months old. The blood vessels are toothpick size. And the day I had surgery, the surgeon asked, "What are you going to do when you grow up?" And I told him, I said, "I'm going to be a transplant surgeon." And he kind of chuckled because in 1988, little girls did not become transplant surgeons. That was just not a thing. And I said, "No, I'm going to be a transplant surgeon." And yeah, became a transplant surgeon eventually. This kidney is, 30 years old and failing. Kidneys don't last forever. We wish they did. But 30 years is more than average by quite a bit. And so I'm happy for that, and it's time for number 2. For years and years, I've sat there as a doctor telling people, hey, you need to find a living donor. Like it's something easy to do. People come in with their living donors and it seems to work out all the time. It's actually March Madness is the best way to describe it. It's probably because that's the season we went through it. But I started in December looking for a living donor, asking friends and family. I went out on Facebook. I said, hey, listen, my kidney's failing. It's time to find a living donor. And I gave them all the information to contact people at the University of Maryland. So many people that I don't even know who they all are, this is the shocking thing, ruled out just from the survey. The next set made it to labs. So this is like the next layer in the March Madness bracket, right? And they got their labs drawn. And then we tried to figure out who's the best blood group and who might be a match and who's healthy enough for kidney function-wise to be a donor. So the next person they worked up, because usually family members are pretty rare to back out, they picked my husband. And so he was getting worked up on our 10th wedding anniversary, and he jokingly the morning of surgery said, well, if I have cancer, you're gonna figure this out by this afternoon. And I'm like, yep, he sure will. And no sooner was it lunchtime that we knew that he had a cancer in his right kidney. And he went for surgery, had a robotic partial nephrectomy, and is cured of his kidney cancer. So he got a cure out of the fact that he just wanted to be my kidney donor. And then we kept going. The next in line was my husband's sister. She was blood group B, and she made it all the way through the workup and got approved as a possible donor. So we were like, oh yes, now we have a blood group B donor, but I can't take B because I'm O. So we still didn't have someone who could donate to me, but we at least had someone get in line to maybe swap a kidney or exchange it. If you have any choice between living donor or deceased donor or waiting for something, you go for a living donor. A living donor is the only chance you have to get a kidney soon enough to stay off dialysis permanently. And I didn't know how frustrating it is to look for a living donor. I mean, I thought you would just, post on Facebook once, hey, find a living donor, and then the next week somebody would be there that would be a match. It's a much longer process than that, and I had to even go on Facebook 2, 3, 4 times. So it's interesting, I posted a picture of me and my kid and said, hey, this kid needs a mom who's functional. And that, amazingly, tremendously changed how big the response was. It's just a picture of a cute kid. So pictures really make a big difference, and repeatedly posting it really, really helps. Don't waste your time just sitting there. Even if people tell you no the first time, they might not be ready to hear it yet, but they might change their mind, and people who wanted to be a donor for me 10 years ago disappeared, but other people came forward. So you just have to keep looking.
All right, we're almost done. We've now covered 5 of the 7 strategies to help you find a living donor. Next, we're going to talk about how to learn from others. We're going to keep talking about some resources that can help you find support and connection. So first, NLDAC, the National Living Donor Assistance Center, can cover the cost of travel, for example, a flight, a rental car, or gas, for the donor and for their caregiver, in addition to lodging and meals during the evaluation and during transplant surgery. This assistance is dependent on the recipient's income. A transplant social worker has to help apply for you. This will also cover multiple living donors going through evaluation. If you check to see if your household income qualifies before you write your story, you can include all of these expenses will be covered for them, which may help you and your potential donor to feel more comfortable about the process. Here are some additional financial resources to help living donors. You can ask your transplant social worker for more information. The American Transplant Foundation offers financial assistance like lost wages for recovery and donor education. American Living Organ Donor Network helps living donors with the financial costs of donating, such as loss of wages during recovery, flights for evaluations and surgery. It can also provide mentors and fundraising assistance for the donors. This one has no eligibility requirements, so everyone is able to reach out to this group. And there's the National Foundation for Transplants, which helps both donors and recipients financially throughout the transplant experience by providing fundraising assistance. A potential living donor must contact the transplant center to be evaluated. The recipient themselves cannot contact the transplant center on behalf of the donor. It's a good idea to have the transplant center contact information shared with your story. This will help potential donors know what to do, as they may not want to contact you until after they've been evaluated. Our website can assist you more. Do you need a kidney transplant? We know it can be overwhelming to ask someone to consider living donation, but we can help. If you or someone you know is considering donating a kidney to a friend or a loved one, check it out. And you can also download our free Living Donor Kidney Transplant Guide for more information, such as who we consider to be a donor, the benefits and risks of living donation, and what to expect with a living donor workup. You can see several links to these different organizations in the chat as well. Getting started at UMMC Transplant Center begins with a thorough evaluation by one of our transplant physicians. These can be done at this location, and feel free right here to take out your phone and to start snapping a picture of the screen. You can do a screenshot. But we do most of our donor evaluations at 16 South Utah Street. So some of you may not be familiar with Baltimore, and that can be another little intimidating thing. Now, if you have a phone and you've taken a picture or a screenshot, that's great. You can also use this QR code over here. So how you do that is you open your phone up and you pretend you're taking a picture. So you open up your camera feature and you point your camera at this QR code on the screen, and it may take you to a link to your surprise. The final step is to create and write your action plan. So make sure to take a few minutes to complete your action plan right after this webinar. Don't walk away. Got to get this done. So all these strategies that we've shared with you, they only work if you use them. So we've included this action plan handout in your packet. While everything we've just now talked about is fresh in your mind, as soon as this workshop's over, I recommend you take some time to jot down some thoughts and ideas for your action plan. What are you going to do this week or this month to start? Maybe you just want to start working on your story. Maybe you've already compiled your story, at least in your mind, and you found a new idea of where you can share this. Could you make it a goal this week, this month, to share something on social media, to send a letter, to create a flyer, or to host an event? Some of you may just make it a goal to contact the National Kidney Foundation for help. Some of you may have a small goal of just asking 1 or 2 close friends or family members to start being advocates, champions for you, to help you find a living donor. All right. I'm counting on you doing this. That's it. Now you've learned the 7 key strategies to finding a living donor. It's been a real pleasure to work with you all today. And I hope that very soon, even though it's a little bit of a bumpy road sometimes to find the one person who will donate your kidney, you're going to also be happier and healthier off dialysis and with a working kidney back in your system. Take care.
The National Kidney Foundation is here to help you after the program. We want to continue to support you, and there are a lot of ways that we can help. I'm going to tell you more about all of the different resources in NKF's The Big Ask, Big Give platform that can help you after this webinar. NKF Cares. We've covered a lot of information in this webinar today. There's a lot for you to think about. After you leave, you may have questions about donation and transplant. NKF can help. We are here. We have a toll-free line that can help you called NKF Cares, and that has trained professionals who can assist you. They can answer questions that you have and send you free brochures and other information. If you want to talk to somebody about how to get started after the webinar, we'll be glad to help you and walk you through that. Maybe you have questions about which strategies to try first. We can help you figure that out. Maybe you just feel overwhelmed and need to vent. We are glad to listen and provide support to you. You don't have to go through this alone. You can email or call us, and we'll email you information about how to reach us. Watch the chat, and you'll see, again, that toll-free number and where to email us. And we do have professionals in both English and Spanish to assist you. Next, we have our NKF Peers. Your packet also includes this information, and you should see a link for this in your chat. If you want to talk to someone who has had a transplant, let us know. We can connect you with a kidney recipient by phone or email. We can also connect you with someone who has already donated a kidney. So if you have questions or fears, we're here to help. Again, you can call or email us, and one of our social workers will talk with you and find the right person for you to talk to. You can be connected one-on-one with a patient or living donor for support to ask questions and hear from someone who's been there. The NKF online communities. You can also connect with other kidney patients, transplant recipients, or living donors online through NKF's online communities. You can remain anonymous if you wish and get answers and support from other patients, caregivers, and living donors in an online forum monitored by the National Kidney Foundation. Check out your chat, links will be provided. NKF's website on living donation has lots of information for you. We have tips and tools to help you find a living donor. We also have extensive information for people who are thinking about donating a kidney. To learn more, you can visit us by clicking on the link in the chat and save that for later. You may need it. You can also become a kidney advocate. Your voice matters. By joining thousands of other kidney patients, family members, and living donors, you'll have the chance to make a difference by helping to improve or change what's important in the lives of kidney patients nationwide. You can help by writing a letter to your congressperson or join a group on the local level to expand kidney patient access to home dialysis, extend Medicare's immunosuppressive drug coverage from 3 years to lifelong, support Living Donor Protection Acts, which in our state of Maryland has already passed and in the progress of passing in Delaware, which is great news. Look at your chat now and you'll find the link to advocacy.kidney.org where you can lend your voice today. The National Kidney Foundation, serving Maryland and Delaware, offers a variety of local events and activities. Check out the chat box as you'll see links to various events posted there. Some of the ones that are coming up are May 1st, where the Southern Delaware Kidney Walk is available, and you can still walk your way, but we'll be in person. Visit kidneywalk.org and you'll find a walk site near you. On May 25th at the Baltimore Museum of Industry, we'll be offering our beloved Sante, A Taste of Baltimore. This is where many restaurants come together for a tasting of food as we highlight patients in our community and the services that we provide. The Wilmington, Delaware Kidney Walk is scheduled for October 16th, and the Maryland Kidney Walk is scheduled for October 23rd. For both of these events, the registration opens April 1st, and again, you can visit kidneywalk.org. And back by popular demand is our Golf Classic, which will be held on October 24th. You can visit the link in your chat. It'll be held at the Baltimore Country Club. We hope that you'll be able to join us at various events throughout the year. So check out our calendar events on kidneymd.org. Thank you for joining us today. As we wrap up, you will find an evaluation link in the chat. Thank you again to our sponsors, University of Maryland Medical Center and Transplant Center and Veloxis Pharmaceuticals. Thank you to Dr. Niederhaus for such an amazing program today. We want to continue to offer this program to kidney patients and families around the country, so your feedback really helps us to make it as good as possible. So again, we've shared that link for you to complete a survey today. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again soon.